My love shines like an angel, and we share the same delights. Digging music out of me, but in sacred grounds on Thursday nights. I was lost in the hate and love found me. Way, way up in the hate, sweet love found me. I was lost in the hate and love found me. Way, way up in the hate, sweet love found me. Here's the sing-along part. Come on down to the hate, let love find you. Way, way up in the hate, let sweet love find you. Come on up to the hate, let love find you. Right. Way, way up in the hate, let sweet love find you. Come on up to the hate, let love find you. Way, way up in the hate, let sweet love find you. Come on up to the hate, let love find you. Way, way up in the hate, let sweet love find you. All right. Thank you very much.
Kevin McKee. Yeah, pt3. Absolutely deserve it. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm announcing Kevin one more time, and what we're going to do is ask him to do an encore. So if everybody will help me. Encore, Kevin!
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I did actually go to Greaseland at one point. Wow. Never thought I'd go there, but when I went there, it was actually kind of cool. There was nobody there. I was hanging out by myself in these rooms. Anyway, so thank you so much, and thank you out on the web. This last song is called Together. Life got in the way, the nightmared all our dreaming. The best laid plans, they say, don't turn out like we'd seen them. But now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. Used to always say things happen for a reason. That's not always true. Things happen 'cause we let them. But now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. The past is yesterday, and we're both moving on. Now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. The past is yesterday, and we're both moving on together. There's no one left to blame. We've forgiven and forgot them. Now all I have is you. So come here, give me your hand. 'Cause now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. The past is yesterday, and we're both moving on. Now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. yesterday, and we're both moving on. We are all awake, our eyes on the horizon. The past is yesterday, and we're all moving on. Now we're wide awake, our eyes on the horizon. The past is yesterday, and we're all moving on. Together, together, together. Thank you.
Kevin McGee.
Thank you, everybody. I actually go by Kevin Patrick McGee, like a longer name. Kevin Patrick McGee is for my tunes, since there's another guy who stole my name.
Right.
First and last. So thank you so much, and have a great day.
Kevin, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is the part where we start the regular open mic for the rest of you. First of all, I need to put some faces on some names. Yannick? Okay, you guys, all right. And Calvary? Calvary, gotcha. Okay. What we usually do is we'll bring you new people up sooner rather than later, because
I'm not new, Mr. Matt.
you are today. You're not here every week, so you're not a regular. So, what we do at this point is we turn it over to you guys, and we're going to let you come up here, and each of you play 2 songs. And poets, storytellers, you'll get between about 8 minutes, which is more than you get anywhere else. Okay, and I'll clue you in. I'll wave at you or tell you what time is going on from up there. Okay. We ask you. I will go around and tell you that you're about to come up while another person is performing. That way you can get ready and then just come up here and do your thing. It's not a good idea to come up on stage and then tune the instrument and then email your mother and then call your girlfriend to let her know you're on, blah, 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 because it eats up your 10 minutes really fast. And also what happens is for every minute you delay or waste time, that minute builds up. And at the end of the evening, 20 people do that. That's 20 minutes, and that's 2 people who won't get a chance to get on. So remember that time is money and you're passing it forward and trying to create as much good karma as you can, okay? So the other thing is announcements. I am your host, Mr. Natural. I own a music school down the block. Hello, everybody. I've been doing this a long, long time. Talk about stolen ID. I don't think anyone's had their name stolen more than I have had my name stolen. And people always seem to be surprised when I pull out my California ID and they find out that my first name really is Mr. M.R. period. And they're always shocked that I actually exist simply because Robert Crumb turned me into a cartoon. Which brings up an old adage. Picasso once said, someone asked him why he paints an abstract and why some of the items in his abstract thing look real. And he said, honey, they are real. I just cut my tablecloth off and glued it onto the canvas. So I know illusions are more attractive than reality. And so the minute you're turned into a cartoon, no one will ever believe you're you again, as long as you live. Coming up here in the next few weeks, tonight was Kevin McGee. Next week, on the 31st, by the way, is a kid named Connor Coughlin. Now, Connor is coming all the way from the United Kingdom. He lives in London, and he's coming here just to play a set. He's traveling up and down the California area, so he'll be here next week as our feature, and this kid's really good. You've got to come and watch him, or at least tune in on the internet and watch this guy. On August 7th will be Daryl Jones. She usually comes in here at the last minute. Maybe you'll get to see her tonight. On the 14th will be Dave Thomas, the gentleman sitting back there. On the Thompson, I'm sorry. And the 21st will be Kayla and Kevin North. Kayla Marin and Kevin North. Now, if you ain't heard Kayla, you gotta. This woman is one kick-ass black singer who could just really reach out with her voice and just grab your heart and squeeze it. She is absolutely brilliant. On August 28th, we still do not have anyone for that feature. So if anybody would like to do a feature on August 28th, we have an opening. And then in September, yada, 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 I'll announce those as time comes up, okay? So again, the 3 rules apply. Shut the fuck up. Please be kind. And if you hear something you don't understand, applaud. And don't sing along with people unless they say, sing along with me, okay? The idea is to make the people up here comfortable. So up first, I'm going to bring a poet, and then a singer, and then a poet, and then a singer. I'd like to bring to the stage Buford, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny, you'll be next.
I'm doing a little memoir thing. This part of it is called College Women and My Moving On. There were others, but 2 primary college girlfriends. The first was serious about love. Both of them actually were. And I had gone out with others who weren't, but these were. One was named Connie, that's the first one, and the other one was named Joan. Both women wanted to and did get married soon after they went out with me. I had not had much serious love, non-sexually, before this time. That being my junior and senior years as an undergraduate at the University of South Alabama in my hometown of Mobile. An overprotective southern town where parents did their best to keep their children from growing into adulthood unless it was on their parents' terms. My parents broke down in their overprotectiveness in this way. My mother wanted us to go out and live on our own, just stay in Mobile if at all possible. My father would have preferred that we didn't leave the house. I'm not sure how that would have worked. I guess he would have just built on to the old ramshackle house in the way he did to accommodate his 6 kids and in-laws, tack on rooms without hallways. Connie, who had a syrupy, thick southern accent, but beautiful green eyes and black hair, would call, and my mother would take a message from her. And then she would tell me, Connie called. My mother was about as urban as one could expect to be, having grown up beginning in 1918 in downtown Mobile, where my grandfather worked as a foreman at a creosote treatment plant. Connie wasn't too urban, just fond of me, along with another fellow she was apparently trying to make jealous. Or it was just the 70s and people were promiscuous. I'm not sure which. I had no intention of getting married at 21 years old and with her at 20. She went out, went with the more established and slightly older boyfriend. Slightly older meant 21 or 22. She married that guy around this time. My brother John, who was bipolar, and who my father, who with his downsized 30-year-old government job, got a fishing tackle shop about this time. I was drafted to work with them. The accent went along with some of the staunch conservatism with Connie. She made a joke one time about the 4 students killed by the National Guard at Kent State. That kind of did our relationship in, along with the fact that she had to take notes for the psychology department head, who was, I think, a CIA or FBI operative. There was a moratorium, a 4-day moratorium against the war, and she had to take notes with this guy who was real straight looking. He had, used to wear these old-fashioned 50s clothes. Then Joan came along. Joan was more liberal, and that helped. No jokes about student murders, and she was even more romantic than Connie, and with less southern syrup in her voice. Joan's stepmother called us Sonny and Cher. She had long, dark brown hair, and mine, believe it or not, covered my forehead at the time. She went to all my intramural softball games and watched pretty much as a wife or live-in girlfriend would have. Very loyal. The end of this relationship, and I don't want to sound as if I were a cad, just not wanting to stay in Mobile. When I got the offer and took it from my older sister and her husband to move to Atlanta, a rather large expansion of my world, the 225,000 mostly rural-based Mobile population as opposed to over 1 million people in Atlanta, and not under my parents' roof for the first time in my life. How un-Southern of me, going off with my sister Carol and her New York born husband Jim, a fun-loving, adventurous fellow, about as, quote, Yankee, unquote, as one could be. Yet very nice to my parents, just not willing to settle in Mobile with Carol. I mentioned my ex-wife's name. I've done that before. Anyway, who had met Jim in New York while working in a small college as an assistant dean where Jim was a student recruiter. So I went off to Atlanta and wrote back to Joan inviting her to do what I'd done and move in with Carol and Jim and I in Atlanta. She declined. I had broken my hometown ties, at least geographically and girlfriend-wise.
Buford, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice to listen.
And now coming up next, this gentleman has been coming here almost since day one. Actually, before we got closed down by ASCAP, Johnny was a regular here, and then we got closed by ASCAP. We all went away for a few years and then came back and wrestled against them and got ourselves back up, and Johnny was one of the first people back here. So welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Hernandez. And he likes sing-alongs.
Myself, I know. Yourself, man. Myself. I know you're on strike, man. I didn't know I had any.
Johnny Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so there was a blues floating around up out there the other day, and I don't think I've ever written a blues, so I thought, oh, what the heck.
What the hell, yeah.
It's called Booze Blues. Mama always told me to toe the line. If I behaved myself, everything would turn out fine. My daddy was no account, no money, no show-up kind of dude. Spent his life chasing women, getting drunk, and just being plain goddamn rude. So my childhood was kind of messed up, more like fucked up to tell the truth. But like Mama said, it all works out in the end. So I let music displace the pain of a misplaced youth. I let the blues replace the strain of my tea-based youth. It's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. When you got problems, may not solve them, but hey, what you got to lose? It's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. When you got nothing left, it's so much easier to choose to sing the blues and drink the booze. Sing along. It's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. 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 Now I may slur my words and have a crooked smile. Won't you please excuse that as my own unique style? Got plenty of tunes that I can play all the way through. And if you buy me a beer, I might just sing you one or two. We don't need to be depressed by all that crap address. A bottle or two can supply redress for any situation that causes stress. When in doubt, a few mugs of stout seem to clear up most any kind of mess. It's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. When you got problems, may not solve them, but hey, what you got to lose? It's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. When you got nothing left, it's so much easier to choose to sing the blues and drink the booze. Sing along, it's no coincidence that booze rhymes with blues. It's no coincidence that blues 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 rhymes with blues. So if some resolution is what you're searching for, come along with me and pick up a 40 at the corner store. We can bump some money to pay. All we have to do is croon and play, for that spare change is enough to get us through the door. And then we'll have us a real good time, playing the blues, drinking beer and wine, not caring about our troubles anymore. We'll eventually curl up and sleep on the sidewalk in the doorway or on a floor. It's no coincidence that blues rhymes with blues. When you got problems, may not solve them, but hey, what you got to lose? No coincidence that blues rhymes with blues. When you got nothing left, it's so much easier to choose to sing the blues and drink the blues.
Yeah. Nice blues. I mean blues.
Yeah, that was different for me. I don't generally write blues, but it was floating around, so snatch them while you can, you know. Okay, so actually, I might just move this out of the way. Everybody see my fingers up here?
Yeah.
It's important.
Looking
that
good.
you
I can
Yeah.
see 'em.
It's important to see my fingers up here this next time. Here we go. If an instrument has strings, you may have noticed a strange thing as your fingers dance along, changing position from the shapes they choose to make. One in particular takes the cake. Surely not meant to be a slur, it's just a chord that flips the bird. Eh? I love it. Oh, the chord flips the bird may not seem rude while being heard, but once you realize, you can't help but wonder, does the musician also know what those deaf fingers choose to show? Without a word, it's the chord that flips the bird. This was fun to write, I'll tell you. Sing along! It's the chord that flips the bird! 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 When it's something that you pluck, you might be saying, what the funny coincidences happen all the time. So when you see that middle finger looking just a bit absurd, don't be offended by the chord that flips the bird. Though it may seem to be aimed straight at you, it's truly innocent. There's nothing taboo. We've all discussed this and it has been concurred. It's just a chord that flips the bird. Sing along. It's the chord that flips the bird. It's the the chord that flips the bird. It's 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 the chord that flips the bird. That flips the bird. That flips the bird. That flips the bird.
Johnny Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're going to bring to the stage, last week we had a very special man show up here, one of my favorite poets, and he's gratiating us again this evening. So please give him a little time to get to the stage. He, like myself, we're getting a little slow as we get older. His name is Robert Smith, ladies and gentlemen, and this guy is a poet laureate. He's one of my favorite wordsmiths.
Well, now, I'm very happy to be here. Usually my work schedule doesn't permit it, but these couple weeks I could be, so I am. And I've been giving readings for about 40 years, which scares me when I say that. But last week, something happened to me that had never happened before, and I hope it never does again. Just as Mr. Natural let me know I was up next, I fished around through my pockets for the poems I'd written at a workshop earlier in the day, and they weren't there. So I was before the microphone with nothing to read, streaming live potentially to all 4.5 billion people on the planet. And I thought, you know what? I'm about to give the absolute worst performance of my life, and everybody in the world is going to see it. However, it turned out that I had left the poems that I intended to read last week at a cafe where I'd had dinner. I got them back, so I did. So I think I'm going to read them now. This one's called Complaints, and it has an epigraph that is from a poem by Marie Howe, and it reads, "My days and nights pour through me like complaints. Complaints. There is the creak in my right hand as I open it, joints like old hinges, robed in their rust of blood. There is an ancient scar, since dimmed to whiteness, in the palm itself, unfolding like the ghost of a rising bird. There is the cry of beloved flesh too long untouched, a memory coiled beneath these fingers. This is the song of your gone body, blown to ashes over the Golden Gate, your leaving no less painful for its brief incandescence. This strange word, wife, astonishes me now, like a breath from a dead language, the first stirring of a gathering storm." Thank you. This is real short. This is the second one from last week. This is called Acceptance. Our lives are brief. We receive grief the way firm stone receives the blade of water. Whatever we know of beauty, essentially an emptiness, absence has left behind. And then a poem that I wrote Friday last week, which needs no introduction. This is called At the Podium. Oh shit. In 40 years of open mics, this has never happened before. I search my pockets in a panic, but maddeningly come up empty. And so I recite from memory, stumbling here and there, poems I haven't read aloud before an audience in decades, becoming for a moment the shade, now hesitant and indistinct, of someone I still recall, but whom, most emphatically, I no longer am. Somewhere that time.
You got 3 more minutes.
Good. I brought tons of poems this week just to be on the safe side.
I'm
But
glad
I think
you
I'm
did.
going to
Glad
continue
you
with
did.
newer stuff. This is called at Madame Tussauds on Fisherman's Wharf for Valerie. At Madame Tussauds on Fisherman's Wharf, we stand not quite together in the gallery of musical legends. The distance between us more than the few square feet occupied by lifelike replicas of sequined stars. The moment filled by the ongoing stalemate of determined resistance and unabated longing. You are more splendid than Madonna, although I dare not say so. More vibrant than Lady Gaga, although tonight your headscarf effectively conceals the fact that you also have better hair. Posed for a cell phone picture taken by one of the docents before the likeness of Elton John, fingerprints of thousands of tourists smudging the sheen of his grand piano, I can feel the weather in the friend zone, dipping below absolute zero. Bridging an unimaginable gap, here where in any case nothing is real, the taciturn Sir Elton shines in this windowless room, a beaming, pallid pillar of wax. And a poem I wrote yesterday. This is called Like a Black Handkerchief. Above the backyard clothesline, a bat, a black handkerchief snatched by wind, flickered against a sky of deepening scarlet, while fireflies darted through unkempt grass and trees bled gradually to silhouette. It was a sticky summer night, New Jersey suburb, late 1960s, the final throes of an endless dusk. This strange wild creature, a momentary shudder in my recollection, swept upward like charred paper from a bonfire, hinted at unseen conflagrations, its presence unsettling enough that the stars, when they at last appeared, seemed oddly remote, comfortless, and cold. I would like, if I can, to finish with one more short one, which I wrote today. I wrote 2 poems at the workshop today, but the second one I didn't think was quite so good anyway. This was an exercise where we had to use 4 words in a poem. The words were obsequious, fawning, concert, and mellifluous. So here is the poem that I wrote, first time anywhere. This is called Be Wary of Praise. The obsequious, the fawning, are not the ones you will remember. Their approbation rings dull and hollow like a broken bell whose one plodding note barely affects this glorious afternoon. A single falsity passing almost unnoticed in the ongoing concert that springs so effortlessly from the mellifluous throats of birds. Thank you all very much. I'm going to go to the East Coast for a couple weeks, so I won't see you the next few Thursdays. But you know, it's such a nice group, I may try to come even when I'm back at work.
Robert Smith, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at all the stuff I brought along that didn't use.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Now is that time that I like so much, that very special time when here at the sacred grounds we get to sacrifice virgins. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage Nora and Yanni. Yannick. Sorry. My Russian ain't too good. Both need a mic?
We can share one.
No, I have 2 mics. I brought them out just in case.
Move the table a little bit.
Welcome.
Okay, so shout out to a blues song. This has the word blue in it a lot, so it's just not funny. Okay. Whoa. Technical difficulties, sorry. Spatial awareness ain't so great. Okay.
Percussion.
There we go.
There you go.
It's an effect.
Now, there's only one thing better than a sacrifice, and that is to have someone come up here and play some kick-ass rock and roll. So let's invite to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, our own little Elvis Presley, Charles Haymarket!
He's a no-show.
Yeah, he'll be here. Traffic jam.
Fashionably late.
He's a no-show. I would let him play. Have a guy. He couldn't make the game.
Charles Haymarket, ladies and gentlemen.
Apparently World War III is back by popular demand.
Right.
Some of you young folks might not remember that Russia and America almost
Right.
blew themselves up.
Trying it again.
And since you didn't get to grow up that way, duck and cover and all that good shit, we brought it back for you. Brought it back for you. Brought it back.
Warming up the Cold War. Oh, sure, you'll be up.
What am I? What am I to? What are these tears we cry? What are my tears, yeah? I saw you look away. When I gave you a fast glance, I know you felt the pain. And the arbitrariness of chance, I know you've lost someone too. And wonder if love means anything, wish I could comfort you. But I was feeling the same thing now. What am I to? What are these tears we cry? What are my tears, yeah? When a gentle breeze turns to roaring train, and everyone I love can be blown away. What am I tears, yeah? What are my tears? I saw you look at me, and the sunlight played in your hair. You had to brush right by. A lost fishness everywhere. I knew that I loved you then. But it remained unsaid. Now I just curse time. Cause you tell me that you're dead. What am I to? What are these tears we cry? What are my tears, yeah? When a random shot from some record mic pulled my heart through all in time. So what am I tears? What am I tears? They said ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I saw you look at me. You're giving me a fast glance. Lose ourselves for a while. And a brief fleeting romance. I know we'll lose each other. Someday eventually, does love mean anything? Let's at least make these memories beyond all our tears. On the tears we'll cry, beyond our tears, yeah. While the universe expands every day, like God himself can't get far enough away. So what am I? What are tears? What are these tears we cry? What are tears? devotion floods downstream and fills the ocean. That's something a little unusual tonight. Although there's a lot of new people in the room, maybe I should play the hit and be lazy. Sometimes we do a ballad. Just when we fell in love under the bar, and they got the more of them. Hell, and we fell in love with our mouth buttons on, and we broke apart while the police take your strong. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to play the game where the rules change, change, and change? When we fell in love and we turned blood red for war, and they got that more for them. And then we ran to the north to try to be free, and we met only fate wants to be. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to play the game where the rules change?